Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about it. And in this video, I want to talk about my experience with the Landlord-Tenant Board and just what an absolute nightmare it was dealing with them. I've heard the rumors, I've heard the stories about how awful the adjudicators can be, and biased and prejudiced and unfair. And I've seen it firsthand how bad it is. I was renting a basement out in the KW area, Cambridge, and from an ex-girlfriend, let me rent out her basement one day after her tenant moved out. And I only reached out to my ex because I was in a pinch. I was supposed to stay within a complex in Aldershot, and a deal fell through. A real estate agent got greedy. I forget her name, Nora. She was listing a unit, 3 bedroom, two car garage, rooftop patio. From her client, his father was a very popular, I guess, design carpenter, and this greedy real estate agent cost me this unit. Everything was about to go ahead with the deal. At the last minute, she found out I had a realtor. She found out she had split her commission. She was not happy about that. She demanded extra money for the deal to go through. I had all this in text messages. Rico knew, did nothing about it. Like most of these tribunals and complaint services, I'll get into that later. But I was illegally evicted. I was asked to move out and to leave in February of 2022. Fast forward to the end of March, I've been looking for a place. I got the pressure on me to move out. Again, I'm renting a unit with its own bathroom, its own kitchen, my own bedroom, laundry, separate entrance, own key. We agreed on $750 a month of rent. I had helped this woman before renovate this home. Spent 14 months of my life volunteering weekends, which I did not get compensated for. Developed a really heavy drinking drug use habit when you work 70, 80 hours a week, and then you get thrown into doing this full out reno, full out demo. That these things can happen. So we agree to rent the basement. I move up there December 10th, 2022. Get in there. Things just, she's not liking the living situation. Me in the basement, working in Toronto. I get asked to leave at the end of February. I am trying. Getting my stuff packed up. I'm trying to book showings in between living in Cambridge, working in Toronto, taking care of my sick grandparents, my grandmother and grandfather in Burlington, and just doing this whole cycle. In the winter, peak of COVID, 2022. I get an email on March 29th, 2022 from John David Ekpenyong. His client is saying that the homeowner has retained him. He takes it upon himself to tell his client to throw all my stuff out, to enter the unit, throw all my stuff out in the lawn, and change the locks. So first off, right away, no lawyer has the right in Ontario to do that. There's none at all. This lawyer seems to think he does. So these tribunals, these courts, they're kind of turning a blind eye to this. A lawyer cannot instruct his client to evict somebody at all. They have no right. This just shows me how incompetent John David Ekpenyong is, how bold and ignorant he is. There was even, so I have to leave my work, and I have to go from downtown Toronto to Cambridge. As I'm driving up there, I call the Waterloo police, let them know what's happening. When I get to the house, waiting for the police come. I'm looking at all my property on the lawn. I couldn't believe it. I was 90% packed up, trying to find a place. this person takes away the internet, made it extremely difficult for me just to find a place. They expected me to move anywhere, go pay first. Like it was inhumane how I was treated. Getting my stuff thrown out, telling me at the end of February, you've got 60 days to get out. By law, you do. I had no problem getting out. I wanted to get out. It was impossible working these 10-hour days in Toronto, book showings on the weekends, sometimes in the night. Like, it was not easy to do. I was doing my best. The Waterloo police come. We're outside for about 4 to 5 hours. The homeowner isn't there. She ignores the calls. Her friends came over, I guess a brother as well, tried to influence the police. Ultimately, the police deem this, after their big investigation, they deem the incident as not criminal and not family. It is civil. In the presence of the Waterloo police, they allow me to kick in the door because I had to hire a moving company, which was $600, $500 or $600, to move the things back in. It was like, this was around 6 o'clock ish. It's March, 6, 7 o'clock at night. The sun's coming down. It's cold. It is dangerous going down those stairs. And I had to move everything in. Myself, they just brought it down the stairs. It was so dangerous. During this illegal eviction, there was well over $5,000 my stuff damaged. I had 3 animals, 3 large exotic fish that ended up dying, which is 3 animals. 3 animals got killed from this illegal eviction. And I ended up moving everything back to the unit. Excuse me. March 29th till April 8th. Now I have to put all my stuff into storage. I got to put all my stuff in storage, and I got to stay with my grandparents. Stay on their couch for a while, get an air mattress, did that for a while. More than I wanted to. I didn't want to do it. I did not want to put my stuff in storage, and having to move it out and stuff. I was doing my best to get out of that basement apartment, and not have to go and either move somewhere just to get out because, someone wanted to throw me on the street. I didn't want to put my stuff in the storage room. So I end up filing an illegal eviction application with the Landlord-Tenant Board in Toronto. I retain James Ruzzi from Kitchener. He did a good job. Cost me $3,000 plus. I was way over 10 grand for this eviction. Didn't have to happen this way. There were 3 hearings in total. The first 2 hearings were just adjourned. John David Ekpenyong did not submit materials. Like all the other times, every case I've dealt with this guy, I've got dragged into him. He doesn't file materials. And they still continue, so it goes to a 3rd hearing. Back it up a bit, that first hearing. At that hearing, John David Ekpenyong is heard on audio and on transcripts, rambling on like he does for well over 2 hours, asking repetitive questions. They were so repetitive, I get to a point where I say, "Excuse me, Vice Chair Robert Patchett. Is it okay if I don't answer these questions anymore? They're obviously repetitive." Robert Patchett snaps, flips his top, yells at me, tells me to shut up and answer the questions, or he's going to cancel my application. And I was lost of words. When I seen him get irate and tell an applicant to shut up and answer the questions, imagine that. I never imagined that would ever happen, and I experienced it. When he spoke to me like that, he tainted the case. I knew from there on out, I did not want him overseeing it. He was out of line. There are codes of conduct to the Landlord-Tenant Board. his behavior was inappropriate, and the least the Landlord-Tenant Board could have done, I think it was Henry White. I asked to have him removed, another adjudicator. They refused. They made me stay with an adjudicator to manage a case who was out of line and spoke inappropriately to the parties. And they did nothing about it. They noted it. They did nothing about it. It was night and day, the living arrangements. Night and day. And if it wasn't so night and day for these tribunal members and the bodies, people in the court, 3 witnesses get up on the third hearing. Jeff Gromsky of Electrically Speaking, really good electrician. He's mean. He's not nice though. The respondent homeowner has mentioned that many times. They work together. Dealing with him personally, he is not a nice person. And I'm going to get into a story about him, experience with him. Another witness was Cynthia Bruns and Maddie Wibbs. At these 3 witnesses, when it was their time to speak, Cynthia Bruns, who was another part of this whole illegal eviction, they all tried to take claim of all the stuff I packed up. But when it came time to talk to Ms. Bruns, she admitted my property was in the basement. And when asked where in the house was my stuff, it was in the basement. And what was upstairs, she said a towel. This woman said my property that she moved out of the upstairs was a towel and everything else was in the basement. Jeff Gromsky, from Electrically Speaking, he did the electrical work to this house. And he admitted he installed a second panel to the nanny suite because that's what the suite was for, a rental unit. So he admitted to that at all. And then that was that, me being a electrician, licensed electrician, not a master electrician, but being an electrician by trade, you don't just put up a second 100 amp panel or a 200 amp panel, 100 amp panel for nothing. That 100 amp panel was for the unit, for down the road to eventually get a second meter. And then the third witness said, admitted at first that the girl living there previously, Katerina Bornerick, the tenant, who paid $1,400 a month, every month, that her mother, Kim Bornerick, e-transferred. The witness, she said that her girlfriend had not rented it. And then later on she admitted, she did live there for 5, 6, 7 months. Like, I was renting the basement. I was illegally evicted in harsh conditions from an email from a lawyer who has absolutely no right. No lawyer has any right. And the Landlord-Tenant Board and this adjudicator should not have been so ignorant and allowed this. Because that's exactly what they were handling this case. And not addressing them. Rather telling me to shut up. How about the guy a lawyer who thinks he's like an actor and he can just go ahead, you can evict this person. Some of the very bizarre behaviors and choices from Mr. John David Ekpenyong, lawyer from Toronto. This is like one of 20 ridiculous moves that he did and is not questioned about. So this went on for a year at the Landlord-Tenant Board. And my application ends up getting dismissed. Robert Patchett, 100 points, 110 points, bullets, 84, 85, 86. He talks about, he made some serious comments towards John David Ekpenyong, not being an actor. He shouldn't get involved. It's common sense with the Law Society. It's like, you don't interfere with your client like this because now he's a witness. And Robert Patchett said, if I dealt with this differently, there would be major fines. Well, the Landlord-Tenant Board handled my case unfair, biased, and prejudiced. The witnesses The homeowner's witnesses all agreed to what my representative presented. I was a tenant who was illegally evicted. Bottom line, the police were there. The police allowed me to kick in the door to the unit. I did not get charged. I can tell you this, there was a lot of fraud and perjury throughout all this hearings with John David Ekpenyong and his client. John David Ekpenyong's client received almost $11,000 from home insurance, from Travelers Home Insurance. I can tell you right now, that is a fraudulent submission to insurance because I damaged a door, a cheap door. Let's say $2,000 with labor, okay? The claim it was just a bill. I never received anything with a description with what was claimed, what was reimbursed. Okay? This is what they did. They got away with submitting a fraudulent bill, a fraudulent claim to the insurance, to the traveler's insurance, that nobody wants to address. I would like to know what's on that claim. I think I have the right to know what that homeowner was reimbursed, because she got reimbursed for damages that I did not do. That is fraud. That is perjury. So it gets dismissed. I then know that it's obvious the Landlord-Tenant Board, Robert Patchett, made an error of law, made an error of facts. It was evident. And it was evident how non-impartial it was after Mr. Robert Patchett told me to shut up, and then Henry White from the Landlord-Tenant Board refused me to change adjudicators. I applied to the divisional court. What happened at that divisional court, you guys are not going to believe. I'm still blown away with the things that came out of there. I'm going to get into that in another video. But it was horrible. I was illegally evicted. The Landlord-Tenant Board allowed 2 adjournments. I didn't get compensation for it. And I was a tenant. I was renting the basement. It's really fascinating almost how these witnesses and applicant and lawyer, what they got away with. The lies they got away with. And how, it's just, I'm shocked, like that. If they did this to me, how many other people out there has this happened to? And I know this is not usual for someone to speak up like this, but I just want to get the truth out. What I went through, what happened to me. I don't want to mislead anybody. I don't want to bash anybody. I just want to get my voice out, and the truth out, and my side of this. And it's horrible. And I think that some adjudicators get comfortable and they get away with mishandling cases like how mine was. So I am going to be doing another video that I think you guys are really going to be interested watching. My experience with the divisional court. A lot of ups, a lot of downs. The appeal itself, I could not believe how it was handled. That endorsement I got, you guys are going to be very shocked. So thank you guys for watching this video, and that is my experience with the Landlord-Tenant Board in Toronto with Adjudicator Robert Patchett. And if you guys can avoid the headache, the financial burden, the mental anguish, if you can avoid the Landlord-Tenant Board, I would. Hopefully, don't get up in a situation like I did, and a lawyer. You wonder, what's up there, what's moving in his head, thinks he has the right to tell his client to evict a tenant. No lawyer has the right to do that. And when lawyers do that and they're caught doing that, they need to be disciplined. So there's more videos to come pertaining to this situation. Thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and comment. And I'm here just to share my experience and my journey through these different events. So thank you guys for watching.